Many books tell you to set realistic goals, right? Set realistic goals, especially for your writing, so that you can achieve your goals, feel successful, and move on. Is that a good idea? We're going to talk about that today and see if it applies to writing as well as to other goals. You have a story to tell, but you don't know where to start. Let me show you how to free your story. I teach you how to write and how to dig deep in your soul to release your story and make a difference in the world. Welcome to the Julie Amante channel. If we're just meeting, I am Julie Amante. I'm a women's fiction author and here to give you some advice and help you move further towards your writing goals. All right, so today we are going to actually talk about goals. And I'm a big goals person. I like to set my goals. I like to have my calendar. I like to know what I'm going to be doing and write it all down so that it's there and I can refer to it. I can make sure I'm making progress. All of the things that we're supposed to be doing to be more successful and to meet our goals, right? But one of the things that we're always hearing other people say is that the goals need to be realistic, right? Well, is that a good idea? And I'm going to say that not always, and I'll explain why. As writers, we are creating something that doesn't exist. If we have a writing goal, a writing dream, right? To be a writer, to create a story, we're starting at a place that is not realistic. Okay, why do I say that? Okay, because what we are doing is we are starting with nothing. We're starting with our ideas, we're starting with our thoughts, we're starting with something that doesn't exist. It's not realistic to create something out of nothing. It's just not realistic, right? It's actually sort of magical in a way. You are taking your thoughts, your ideas, a story that you created with your own mind, and you're making it into something real for somebody else. There's nothing realistic about that. To me, if we're starting with a place, something that is unrealistic, why do our goals have to be realistic for writing? Even the idea that somebody else would be interested in reading what we created is not realistic. Okay, why does somebody else want to read your story that you're interested in? It's not a realistic goal to say, yeah, I'm going to create something and tons of people are going to want to read it. Not necessarily, right? But we do it anyways. Why do we do it? Because we have this unrealistic expectation that somebody else will be interested, that it's going to touch somebody else's life, that people are going to be attracted to a story, that if we're attracted to it, if we're interested in it, right, enough to create it, that other people are going to be as well. There's no guarantee that that's going to happen. It's not anything that that even makes sense really, except that it's done all the time, right? People write stories all the time. Other people are attracted to stories, and so they find stories that interest them, and then they read them. When we decide, okay, we're going to make realistic goals. For example, okay, one of the realistic goals that writers tend to make is that they're going to write a story that is tested and that publishers like, that readers have already read. And so what happens when you do that? What happens when you set this goal that you're going to write, a book, just, I'm going to write a cowboy romance, whatever, right? Well, it could work because it's been done before, right? So we're setting a realistic goal because we're saying it's been done before. But because of that, it also could be turned away because it's been done before. And it could lead nowhere, just like the unrealistic goal of writing something different, writing something that hasn't been done before, writing something that I love and that I think a lot of readers will like. So you don't want to set the realistic goal of doing something that's already been done just because it's already been done. Because honestly, it doesn't mean anything, because it can easily be accepted or not accepted. Okay, so hopefully that makes sense. So what I'm saying is when you are setting your goals for writing, what I think you should do, what I try to do, is not to think of only what is possible, okay? But think of even what's impossible. I'm going to achieve this goal, even though it may not, I'm going to try to write, even just to say I'm going to try to write. It could be, is that sort of impossible goal, right? I'm going to try to achieve this goal, even though it may not be logical. It may not be possible for me to do it because of my schedule, because I've never written before, whatever the reason is. But I'm going to do it anyways. I'm going to try to achieve this impossible dream because I'm going to believe in the impossible. I'm going to do something that maybe seems unrealistic to somebody else, but that is in my heart, I feel that I can do. And I think one of the reasons that it's important to do that is, if you ask yourself, who determines what is possible and what is impossible? To me, isn't it true that it's you, right? I determine what is possible or impossible for me, and you determine what's possible and impossible for you. If you believe that it's a goal that's unrealistic or impossible to achieve, then you're right. It's going to be impossible and it's going to be unrealistic for you to even try it. But if you determine that it is a possible dream, that it is something that's realistic for you within a certain time frame, then you're going to be able to achieve it because you believe that it's realistic for you and possible for you. Okay? So if we start with that, then there is no goal really that should be unrealistic for you, right? So if you have a story idea, you have a dream of a certain book, and you look around and you say, the market doesn't seem to want that. The market doesn't seem to support that, or there hasn't been an interest in that. Okay, maybe not. But is it time for you to maybe create that interest and to write it and see if maybe the market is out there? Just because publishers haven't bought it, just because publishers haven't seen that as something, maybe it hasn't come across their desk before. Who knows? So just because it hasn't been done doesn't mean that you can't be the one to do it. Everything's impossible until somebody does it, and then all of a sudden it's possible. So try it. Don't tell yourself immediately that it's not going to be realistic. It's not going to be possible. Another reason that you should set unrealistic goals is because unrealistic goals help you to grow. Okay, so we talked about how characters need to be challenged, right? They need a challenging goal, and so do you. You need a challenging goal. So they help you to grow because you are achieving something that you hadn't previously achieved, right? So you set this goal, you reach this goal, and now you've grown as a person. The reason that a lot of goal setting, gurus or coaches or whatever you want to call them, tell you to set realistic goals is exactly because of that. Because they assume that most of the goals that people set are not really goals, that they're wishes, okay? And that they wish that they could do something. It's not an actual goal. So if the person doesn't set this wish goal, but they actually set realistic goals, they set smaller goals that they can achieve little by little. And not that that's wrong. Okay, I'm not saying that's wrong at all. I do think that you should break up your goals and achieve them little steps at a time. However, you should have that unrealistic goal that you're trying to reach, okay? And then you are going to have the smaller steps that are going to reach it. But a lot of people will say, don't even set those, right? Don't set those unrealistic goals because what they're afraid of is that people will they won't achieve those goals, right? They won't even know how to start working towards those goals. They'll get discouraged, they'll get disappointed, they'll get frustrated, and they'll quit. And then they won't get anywhere, right? So they say instead, don't set that, that crazy goal. Set a more realistic goal, something that you think you can achieve. And so people do, right? They underestimate themselves and they set the smaller goals rather than setting those larger goals that seem unrealistic today, but that if people work towards them, are not really all that unrealistic after all. And I really think that people need to be inspired. Achieving a goal that you know you can meet isn't going to inspire you as much as saying, okay, I'm going to achieve this goal. I'm going to set this goal to become a best-selling author. It doesn't have to be tomorrow. It doesn't have to be with my first book, but that is going to be my goal. Okay, that's my unrealistic goal, and that inspires you to want to work towards it. So I think that these challenging goals that maybe aren't so realistic and seem impossible are inspiring. Can inspire people to work harder and to achieve more than they would if they just set something that they can do. Like, oh, okay, I'm going to, and again, the smaller goals are good as well. So, obviously I can shoot for a bestseller with my first novel, but I can also say, I'm going to write my first novel. That can be my first goal. Whether that's going to become the bestseller or not, I don't know yet, but I'm going to write it and I'm going to see what happens. And my next goal can be to find a publisher for that goal and see if a publisher agrees that maybe this could be my best-selling book. And then I can, and then you keep moving towards the larger goal. Maybe that book does become the bestseller. Maybe it doesn't. Maybe the next book does. But if you still have that larger, inspiring goal, you're going to continue to grow as you move towards it. Okay, so I think it's important to have that challenging, unrealistic goal that'll help you get closer to what you would really love, what would really make you happy, inspire you, challenge you, all of that. The next thing that unrealistic goals will do is make you more creative. Okay, why? Because writing is a creative talent, obviously, right? It's a creative skill. And so if we are trying new things, right, we're trying maybe some unrealistic things, then we're naturally going to be more creative. Maybe you try writing from a new voice. Maybe you're trying to fit your voice into what already sells rather than just letting your natural voice come out. So playing with your voice, seeing, what really is your voice? Who really, who are you? What is your personality in writing? Your personality in writing can honestly be different than your personality in real life because it's different. It's a different expression of yourself. So maybe play with that, and that helps you to be more creative, take different chances, right? Maybe stretch your genre limits. Maybe you've always thought, well, I'm going to write a romance, and that's what I'm going to write, and that's what and you try to write that. But maybe you've never tried to write in a different genre. So setting, an unrealistic goal of saying, okay, I'm going to try writing in a different genre. I'm going to do this and see if maybe I'm more successful doing this than I am writing in this thing that I thought I really loved because I love to read in it. But maybe I'm a better writer writing for YA. Maybe I'm a better writer writing sci-fi, right? So stretching yourself a little bit, being a little bit more, daring, a little bit more creative, helps you, right? So again, setting those goals to maybe try something a little different and allowing your creativity to come out a little more will help you to maybe achieve those goals that you have, those larger goals, maybe a little faster, or maybe you just enjoy it more. So I do think that being a little more unrealistic helps you to be more creative. If you think of anybody, it doesn't have to be in writing, just anybody who's discovered something or anybody who's done something really wonderful in life, it's because they were creative. They tried something. They let their mind wander and play games and say, well, what if I did this? What if I invented this? What if we did it this way? Maybe that would work. Maybe that would solve a problem, right? So most people that do anything that's wonderful in life have been more creative. They've let their mind think of something outside the box, something different, and see where it leads them. And that's what I think all writers should do. So ultimately what I'm saying here is that you will achieve what you believe. And so why not believe that you can achieve something wonderful, something great, something that is unrealistic and something that seems impossible. Why not, right? And you want to have some balance. You want to have some easy wins because you don't want to be disappointed all the time. You don't want to, fail at every goal that you set because the goal is so immense, right? But if we have a nice balance where we say, okay, this is my wild, unrealistic goal. Maybe these are my top 3 wild, unrealistic goals. And then I also have some realistic goals, right? I have some goals that I know I can achieve. I know that I can do it. So I have some, I'm making progress and I'm having some good wins here with my realistic goals, but then I'm also making progress towards my unrealistic goals that if I continue to work on will someday be realistic, because at some point you're going to reach this point, right? This middle place where you've done so much towards that goal that seemed impossible, that now it really doesn't seem so impossible anymore because you're so close to it. You're almost there. It doesn't seem like a crazy goal anymore. I mean, writing to me seemed like a crazy goal when I first started because I hadn't done anything. I didn't know anything. I didn't know any writers. I didn't know authors. Editors. I didn't know agents. I didn't know about publishing. I didn't know what to do with my book. I didn't know anything. I didn't even know that I could write anything, honestly. I tried. I didn't know if it was good. I didn't know if anybody'd be interested. I knew nothing. It was an impossible goal. It was completely unrealistic for a kid who was, had never written anything, had never published anything, that was just, just starting college, to think that I could be a published author. It was completely unrealistic. But at some point, after taking some classes, learning about the publishing industry, meeting other writers, or meeting other people that maybe were published and not published. Some of them were, some of them weren't. But they had the same goals that I did. So I wasn't so crazy because other people also had that goal. And then going to writers' conferences and meeting tons of writers and sitting in conferences with published authors that I'd read, that I had on my shelf. And then submitting writing and submitting my novel, and then having an editor actually say that it was good and she thought that it was interesting and she'd like to see what else I had. Okay, well, and all of these steps are getting me closer and closer and closer to that impossible dream. And then finally having a publisher say, yes, I will. I'd like to buy that novel, and I'd like to offer you an opportunity to submit a next novel after that. At that point, right, it doesn't really seem it's not impossible because it's happening, right? And so your brain, something clicks and says, wow, well, this isn't an impossible dream. Not only can I sell this novel, I can sell other novels, and I can write more, and I can, right? And then the goalpost isn't, becoming a published author anymore, because that's no longer impossible. Now it moves, right? If you want it to, I'm going to publish 50 novels in my life, or whatever, right? Whatever it is that moves you, that seems impossible. Right now, 50 novels to me seems impossible. I know friends that have written 80, right? So to them, it's not impossible. To me, writing 50 novels in my lifetime seems like an impossible dream. Maybe I'll set that as my goal. But you know what I mean? So you will always move forward, and you'll reach more goals if you think of, I'm going to achieve something that maybe is not so realistic to somebody else, but I think I could do it. I could reach that unrealistic goal if I just keep working on it and I keep trying. Okay, so I just wanted to maybe not have a writing tip so much today, but just give you a little of inspiration that, when you're going through and you're setting your goals, don't just set those little tiny goals that you think, okay, I know I can do it. Set some of those kind of wild goals that you are more than a wish. They're actually a goal that you will work for and then hopefully achieve someday. So I hope this has been helpful. If it has, hit the like button, hit the share button, and then come back and see me next Friday for a new writing tip or maybe a new inspiration. See you then.